Look around your modern bedroom at night. Everything is perfectly designed for comfort. You reach out your hand, and you flip a single plastic switch. Instantly, the entire room goes dark. You close your eyes under the blanket, and you expect 8 hours of continuous rest. But suddenly, your brain wakes up. The clock on the wall says 2 a.m. You look straight up at the ceiling, and a wave of panic hits you. You think your body's completely broken. You blame the coffee you had earlier, or maybe the blue light from your phone. But what if this is completely normal? Let's erase the modern world entirely and travel back 600 years. Welcome to Europe in the Middle Ages. Here, the night is a completely different beast, and sleeping straight through was a myth. Historians call their routine bifocal sleep. Their lives were ruled by the sun. When the sun went down, work stopped. The entire village entered total darkness. There were no electricity grids here, and wax candles cost a fortune. Peasants couldn't afford to waste them. So, around 8 p.m., everyone went to bed. This was known as the first sleep. It was a deep, heavy rest. Their muscles recovered from hard labor. This cycle lasted for about 4 hours. But right around the stroke of midnight, a strange natural phenomenon occurred. People all across the village woke up. They didn't have annoying alarm clocks. Their brains just naturally switched on. They felt completely refreshed and alert. This midnight gap was perfectly normal. It was a built-in human setting. So, what did they actually do? In a world with zero light? Well, they didn't just waste time. This hour belonged entirely to them. The brain was in a unique state, high in a hormone called prolactin, which makes you feel calm and at peace. Many people used this time to pray. The house was dead silent, making it perfect for spiritual reflection. They also analyzed their vivid dreams, trying to find hidden messages from God, but others used it for hard work. During the day, they worked for the Lord. They had no time for their own homes. So, midnight was for household chores. Women would sweep the dirt floors. They would patch up torn winter clothes. Men would churn butter by the hearth, or chop wood for the next day. Writers and scholars absolutely loved this. They called it the golden hour. Without any daytime distractions, their creativity was at its absolute peak. Many famous philosophy books were written now by the light of a single fading flame. But it wasn't just a lonely hour, it was also highly social. Neighbors would open their wooden doors. They would walk over to nearby huts. Just to have a quick midnight chat, they would smoke pipes together and share the latest village gossip. It was a beautiful community moment, but stepping outside carried massive risks because the medieval night was dangerous. It was dark like you can't imagine. Without a moon, you were blind. You had to carry a crude torch, which only lit a tiny circle around you. Working inside the hut had a dark side. Most roofs were made of dried straw. One tiny spark from a knocked candle could burn the entire house down in seconds. So checking the fireplace was top priority. And the shadows hid real terrors. Violent criminals ruled the empty paths. They were known as nightwalkers. They waited for lonely travelers to rob them of everything. Because of this, cities had strict laws. They enforced a mandatory curfew. Heavy iron chains blocked the streets. The massive city gates were locked tight. Armed watchmen patrolled the blocks. If they caught you wandering around without a life or death excuse, they didn't give you a fine. They threw you into the dungeon. But humans weren't the only fear. Surprisingly, the law had a unique loophole. If you were defending your property, you were legally allowed to walk at midnight. Farmers used this to protect livestock from wild wolves lurking in the bushes. But if you carried a concealed weapon, you instantly became a capital criminal. No trial, just straight to execution. So night walking was a dangerous gamble. Most chose the safety of the fireplace. They believed the night belonged to monsters. Demons and witches grew incredibly powerful, and stepping into the woods meant a curse. They feared the legendary night hag, an evil spirit that sits on your chest and suffocates your breathing while you sleep. Today, we call this sleep paralysis. But back then, it was real sorcery. So, families protected their beds. They burned aromatic herbs like rosemary. To create a spiritual protective shield, they would hang salt packs by the window, believing it physically blocked demonic entities. Iron nails were driven into doorways, because iron was poison to dark spirits. Every corner of the house got a blessing. Only then could they feel safe. But after an hour of midnight activity, the natural energy burst would fade. The physical fatigue crawled back in. Around 2 a.m, they would blow out the candles and crawl back under heavy wool. This was the second sleep. This rest lasted until dawn. This was our natural biological rhythm for thousands of years of evolution. So, what ruined this system? The answer is the Industrial Revolution and the invention of street lamps. Suddenly, night became a time for profit. Factory owners made a harsh discovery. If machines stopped, money stopped. They needed workers around the clock. Artificial lighting made that possible. They implemented the 24-hour shift system. Human biology was completely ignored. The natural midnight sleep gap was branded as lazy and unproductive. Society re-engineered the human clock. Cities underwent a massive social shift. Coffee houses stayed open late into the night. Theater halls filled up at 11 p.m. Staying awake became a modern fashion. If you slept early, you missed out. The darkness was officially conquered by gas lamps, and the beautiful midnight gap vanished. We forced our bodies into one block, an unyielding 8-hour sleep sentence. To fit the modern economic machine, then came the rise of modern medicine. Doctors began noticing a growing trend. People complained about waking up at 2 a.m. instead of calling it an ancestral rhythm. The medical community labeled it a disease. They called it secondary sleep maintenance failure. And a massive pharmaceutical market was born. Sleeping pills became a multi-billion-dollar business. We started medicating a natural behavior, trying to force our biology to conform. But modern DNA science has a twist. Geneticists tracked our internal circadian rhythm genes. And guess what they found out? Our bodies still produce that midnight prolactin surge. The biological blueprint has not changed at all, even after 2 centuries of industrialization. Your cells remember the medieval village schedule. Your body wants that biphasic split. It expects the first and second sleep. The modern world is fighting your genes. So, next time you wake up at 2 a.m., staring blankly at the dark ceiling, don't immediately panic or stress out. And whatever you do, don't touch your phone. The artificial blue light will kill the gap. Instead, accept the midnight hour. Take a slow, deep breath. Sit up in bed if you want. Use this quiet time to think, or write down your sudden ideas. Listen to the complete silence outside. Enjoy the peace that modern life steals. You are not suffering from insomnia. You are not broken or defective. You are just experiencing an ancient human echo, a beautiful link to your distant history that survived centuries of concrete and gears. You are sleeping exactly how nature intended. You are just being human, just like your ancestors did every single night.